playing in the major in Austin, the Blast Major, first one of the year. A lot of history could be rewritten there, and I am sat here with another returning guest on the show. Is Regali. Previously, when we talked, it was right before he joined Entropiq. Now he is on FlyQuest, and he's been an honorary Aussie for a couple months now. So Regali, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate you taking the time before an early flight tomorrow. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you for the invitation. I'm doing really well. I'm excited to fly to LA now for a bootcamp with my Aussie teammates just before major. And yeah, I'm excited to be here as well and talk a little bit.
Okay, so how we're gonna do stuff? First of all, we already did an interview. Well, we did a podcast ish where we talked about your career, your life up until Entropiq, pretty much, which was actually exactly 1 year ago. It was published on the 22nd of May. We're recording this one on the 26th of May. So it's been 1 year. We're gonna focus on that time frame, right? We're not gonna talk about how you started playing Counter Strike. If people want to see that, they can go and check out the first episode. Where we will start will be with you joining Entropiq. Last time we talked, that was right before that project. Now, that was a really weird project, wasn't it? You joined Entropiq with Buzz, Tizian, Fasher, and Marix, but you played there for not more than 2 months, a month and a half, and it just imploded and things didn't work out. So, talk to me a little bit about that project. What happened there?
Yeah, so as you said, we played like 1 month or so. We lost some tournaments in like tier 2, tier 3 online tournaments, but we didn't really have time to practice back then. And there was some point where Valve just announced how the next major is going to be. Like based on invites, it was like kind of like harder to qualify, you know. It was like much closer circle, and we realized that we couldn't make it to major,
Mm-hmm.
not even to RMR to have a chance. And then the investor or like the CEO, whatever, from Entropiq just said, yeah, I'm not investing anymore. And we just like, yeah, got benched, all of us, in 1.5 months or so. It was all done, like all gone.
Was there a conversation about you sticking as a five and keeping to play together? Like, do you think that this team could have had some potential, or you feel like it was probably for the better to for things not to keep going?
I mean, based on the results, no, it wasn't looking so good, but it can always get better, right? Like, it was a bit weird back then. I remember like the players were good, but just the chemistry didn't hit at the first time. Like no honeymoon, no nothing. So yeah, maybe it was for the better. Maybe.
Okay. Well, apparently, right now it looks like it's for the better because you will be playing the major and you have been playing a lot more LANs in Tier One Counter Strike. I remember one thing that we mentioned last time was that right before you joined Entropiq, you felt like it was the time for a brand new start for you, right? To prove yourself once again and kind of show your identity again as a player. Now, again, this is referring to the old interview we did, but throughout your career, you've had many of those moments where you weren't given the time and your projects for whatever reason were not given the time to actually stay together for longer so you could thrive and get used to the team, right? So how did you react to things not going well for Entropiq? I imagine that must have been a pretty disappointing one because it was, I guess, maybe second, third, fourth project in a row that didn't seem to give you enough time.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was like third project, I would say, if you include Fnatic, that gave me only 2 weeks while I was having exams. But no, but it was, let's say, second.
Hmm.
It felt weird, but I couldn't do much, you know.
Hmm.
Like at least at that point, I was um I don't know, kind of like at peace with my mind that, you know, I did my best. Like I really tried to like practice and learn and do better, but I
Hmm.
just couldn't. And now, you know, with FlyQuest is just way better.
Yeah, we can tell from the outside. And before we get into that, you spent a couple months on the bench. To be precise, well, you spent a couple months being inactive, since June until pretty much December when you joined FlyQuest. What was going on in your life during the time? Because it's never easy to just sit around and watch people play, right? When you're not able to join the officials. So was there something specific that you were focusing on and sorting out, whether changing something in the way that you were approaching teams or maybe in your personal life? What was going on with Regali at that point?
I was trying to fix some personal stuff in my life, but also like get a good routine, healthy one, eat healthier, go to gym, try to be, I don't know, much more relaxed, you know, not get burned out of playing the game. I was trying to play like 10 games of Faceit a day
Okay.
and then do my real stuff. So I was trying to like be on the same level and get better with rifle at least. And I did. I can see now, for example, rifle paid off, and I'm much calmer. I also worked with a psychologist. He was really good. From Romania as well. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I just enjoyed my free time as well. Sometimes, I went out with my friends, and yeah, it was nice.
How
But
important is to
yeah.
find a balanced life and routine outside of playing the game in order to enhance your in-game performance, in your opinion?
Um, I think it's really important. Now I know what I have to do also when I'm playing. When I kind of reach the limit of like, you gotta like take a step back and like enjoy a weekend
Hmm.
out of the four, and then like enjoy a movie or something because I feel like if you are playing all the time, then maybe you don't like to practice anymore or like get into bad habits. Because when I say play all the time, it means you play face it after practice.
Okay.
So if you play too much face it, you get like into that mentality, and then you are not clear minded when you practice or play officials because you try like really bad behavior face it plays.
So you are trying to prioritize quality time in the game over the amount of hours.
Yeah, I'm trying to be more efficient. I'm trying to play platforms like Refrag or like, try to warm up in different ways.
Okay, okay, that is nice to hear. And then we do a bit of a fast forward a couple months later, and I think that was one of the most random transfers that a lot of people have seen. It was definitely one that caught me off guard as well. Seeing a Romanian AWPer, because your portfolio, I guess, is not shocking because you have played with many different people in your life, right? You've played on Romanian speaking teams, you've played on Danish speaking teams, you've played on international teams. Now you go in with the Aussies. So how the hell did you end up on FlyQuest, which, by the way, we gotta say, it's an American organization hosting an Australian team, getting a Romanian AWPer. So how did that international clash happen?
Yeah, it's all thanks to Munstur. He was the coach of the FlyQuest Red team.
Yeah.
He's Romanian, obviously, and
Hmm.
he suggested me and XELLOW, I believe. And then the coach and the manager and the players, they all looked through our demos, and yeah, they just picked me. Luckily, obviously for me, um, yeah, and we just connected like that. But I know first meeting I had, it was with Miss Harvey.
Hmm.
She was saying something about diversity, just as you said, right? Like NA org hosting like Aussies, Romanian, and we're like different. Like we're a mix of people here. Because
Yeah.
for example, our analyst is Portuguese. Then we have the Mongolian coach, and like
Yeah.
it's so many countries here.
How did you
Yeah.
feel about that, by the way? Did it feel different in any way in comparison to other projects that you've been part of from the get go, playing on an Australian team? Because obviously there's some differences in, let's say, identities, maybe sometimes regionally on how people approach the game. Did you feel like it was that there was a difference between the way that you were used to seeing things be done and the way that they were being done in FlyQuest?
Um, it wasn't so different to be honest, because Dexter at the time he was the IGL of FlyQuest. He had a lot of EU experience, from Mouse and Fnatic. So these guys, they were already on the, let's say, European path of
Okay.
practicing and playing the game. It was just me that I'm really different as an AWPer
Hmm.
to the other AWPer, and until this day they're like not really used to like stuff I do, for example, me going with rifle second, or like sometimes I
Okay.
want to go first, and I don't really like to throw nades as much as like Alistair did, but I'm trying also like to find a balance, and like everyone will play better at some
Hmm.
point. But yeah, I don't know. People are really open-minded here, so we can try things. But it's just the lack of practice because we travel and we live far away from each other.
Yeah. Was that something that was pre-discussed? And how do you feel about that, by the way? Because you are obviously an oper that you just pointed out yourself. You're one of those guys that likes rifle, likes being aggressive. You don't throw as many nades. Is that something that you are discussing prior to joining a team with everyone on the lineup and saying, "Hey guys, this is the way that I want to approach the game"? Are you willing to compromise and find a way to make me thrive, or is that something that on the way in you kind of find out as practice goes on?
It's something on the way in, but they also like when they look through my demos, they found out my biggest strengths,
Okay.
which is like city side, the good rotations. I'm always I'm mm, really in a good spot all the time, kind of because of my rotations and
Mm-hmm.
let's say my feeling. And then they saw I'm a good rifler, and they were thinking, maybe we can play Inferno 5 rifle. Sounds good. And then they also try to change with more practice and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We are still talking about stuff like this, to change, to try new things, but it's all about the meta.
Yeah, I guess it is. And by it's all about the meta, we mean it's all about what Vitality do, right? Because this is the
Yeah.
meta right now. I want to ask you your opinion on something before we go a little bit deeper into FlyQuest. There has been a reoccurring topic of European AWPers looking for development elsewhere, right? In North America, in Australia now as well, apparently. Guys like Ultimate, like Hauzerk, like Fuzi, like Slags, back in the days, guys like Cirque and Poison as well. Why do you think that is? Why is there so many European AWPers going out abroad to go to those teams?
I think it's the lack of good overs in the other regions, I would say.
Okay.
And then there are also many overs in Europe, so that's the funny part. Um, yeah, this is how it is, and I think an European over can make the team better just because he has more knowledge, not just because he's way better as individual. It's the knowledge that comes with the mechanics.
Okay, okay. Now we're gonna get into talking about some of your teammates. Now, obviously, you mentioned the name already. When you joined the team, Dexter was still the in-game leader, and he was still there. And he's one of the most experienced Australian in-game leaders and one of the most experienced Australian players outside of Australia in the last couple of years. So, how did you find him as an IGO? How would you describe him? How did you find playing under his style? Because we know that he's pretty well. I wouldn't say unconventional, but at a certain point it felt like he was the IGL, the entry, the star rifle on CT sides. Like he tried to do it all with FlyQuest. So how was that from your perspective as an oper that requires a lot of space?
First of all, he was really calm and he was giving me a lot of space, I would say. On T sides and city sides, yeah, I was just saying where I want to start and that was it. But sometimes, yeah, as you said, he was trying to do it all, like find gaps, push, then call, then I don't know. It was the biggest strength at that time when Dexter was IGL-ing was that Ins was a good city caller.
Mm-hmm.
So Dexter and Ins talking was really easy to understand the stuff that enemies were doing. Yeah, other than that, I don't know. Like I felt like he was like doing a lot. Yeah, maybe too much sometimes.
Do you think that this
Dexter.
is what went wrong? Do you think that this is why things didn't work out? Because obviously you didn't spend as much time on the team with him as a lot of the other guys. It was just a couple months before you made the change and added nettik 2 months ago. But why do you think things didn't work out with Dexter as an IGL?
I don't really know. Like because as you said, I didn't have much time. For me, like it didn't influence me that much because both Ins and Dexter they let me do whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the riflers that were like wanted more direction from the start, and I could understand it because in my past teams as well, the IGL would say at least where like he would like to poke or finish, or if he would like to poke in another thing in another area,
Sure.
at least he would say where he would like to finish. But Dexter was like, yeah, let's see what's up, and he was calling on the fly like, okay, let's take like mid doors, and then let's see what's up, let's see what they're doing, and he like Dexter's calling was based on enemy's reaction,
Okay.
and because these players from FlyQuest they were like really good of like talking, obviously communicating in English, right? They were like really good at telling information and stuff like that, so it was easier to react. So we were reacting on their reactions, but from spawn we didn't know much. It was like, yeah, just do a default and stuff like this. Where now it's like, yeah, we'd like to have some pressure there and finish somewhere. We know
Okay.
more.
All right. Would you say that actually leans into my next question really well? How would you compare Ince's style of calling to Dexter's style of calling?
Yeah, it's just as I said, it's just we know at least if we want to poke somewhere or like where we would like to end,
Mm-hmm.
so we can save some nades. So it's never a situation where like, for example, it happened with Dexter. Like at some point we didn't have nades and Dexter was just calling to call on feeling, but because we just used our nades like noobs, we didn't know where Dexter wanted to end.
Sure.
It was just like that. But now, like, we try to play more structured. We at least like save one smoke on flash because we know where we want to end and stuff like this.
Okay. How would you describe Inns as a person? What would you say his work dynamic with erkaSt is as an IGL coach? How do you feel about the two of them leading the team?
Uh, they work a lot, I would say, while I'm playing faces, for example. They talk a lot. They are on the same page most of the time, because in anti-strats and stuff like this, I put some some good questions and I ask some questions, and they both have the same answer.
Hmm.
They agree always with each other, which is nice. And it seems like whatever Erk is writing on anti-strats or is saying at the beginning of practice, is trying to push it to either practice it or like do it in the game. So example is just an example is
Okay.
like Navi is playing 4A 1B, right?
Hmm.
Then for example, Erk would say there, yeah, this is how they play, and then Ins would say, yeah, just fucking rush B. It's like not losing this. He's always like with Erk on the same page.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
All right. That sounds like that sounds like a really good dynamic to have between the two of them. And archetype wise, people wise, what type of a captain coach would they say they are? Like who's a little bit loudest? Are they both really calm? Is one of them a lot more hyped up, maybe strict even at times?
I think they're both calm actually.
Okay.
Um, First of all, I think I'm the loudest in the team,
All right.
all the time. And if I'm not the loudest, then there is a problem, and they beg me to like be loud or talk because they know I'm playing my best when I'm talking and I'm loud. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Only if we fuck up a strategy, then it gets a bit louder. Urk is just there for like mood and stuff in the official games.
All right, all right. This is great. He's keeping it level-headed. Then we talk about that change. Now the change of Ins becoming the in-game leader means that nettik joins the team, and that was a hot discussion. Obviously, you replace an IGL, you give the IGL to someone else, and you get an aggressive, a star rifle into the team. For someone like you, that is again an aggressive and space needing OP. How did you feel initially? Do you feel like you guys needed sometimes to figure out a way to give freedom to everyone? How do you feel like the team is able to give freedom to everyone? Because you've got Vexite is not the most passive rifle in the world. You're an aggressive player. Now you've got nettik. And Ins, I guess, would be trying to be a bit more of an active IGL as we were talking about the meta, but there doesn't even seem to be a lot of space left. So how do you balance things out? And what do you think about nettik?
Yeah, he's very good, very aggressive. Not talking so much, but he's good at mechanics.
Okay.
What do I feel? Yeah, certainly I have to give up some space, 100%, but not on every map, obviously. So yeah, I'm okay with supporting him on some maps,
Mm-hmm.
as long as he gets me to after plant and then I can clutch with top, because that's my strength. So it's a good balance. I just have to be better at supporting and maybe talking to him a little bit more, or for him sometimes,
What
or
are
ask him.
what are the maps that you're not willing to give your aggressive freedom on? I'm just curious. If that doesn't give away a lot of the things that you're doing on the team, obviously.
I mean, no, it's obvious. Op maps, large maps like Anubis, Mirage, that too.
Okay.
Nuke. But then maps like ancient maps like Inferno, where like it's all about 5 rifles or like tight places. I need to support them. I need to do that.
All right. We're talking about your teammates right now. Next up on the line is Vexite, who again was, I guess, the primarily aggressive player alongside Dexter when he was the IGL, and now he's still the number two. The one thing that I find really interesting, and that's why I want to talk about Vexite as well, is because I think he's probably one of the Australian players that we've seen the highest highs out of in the last couple of months. But there also has been some pretty low lows, if you know what I mean. So consistency probably not there, but he's incredibly sharp and he's really entertaining to watch. What is your take on him? What do you think about Vexite?
He's good, and even if he has a bad game, it doesn't affect him, or you don't feel like he gets affected.
Okay.
So that's nice. He keeps up the good mood and stuff like that. Now he's happy, so when he's happy, he plays good. Uh, what else? Yeah, he has a good movement to be an entry fragger. So yeah, if he goes first, at least we know. Yeah, he gets traded at least. And yeah, I don't know. He keeps track on the tactics. He is also good at like saying, "Yeah, I'll flash for you," and like comes in, throw some nades. That's nice.
All right, pretty self-sacrificial guy, and then we can't leave one person out because people will say that it's not nice. But Liazz is obviously the most experienced and achieved player on this team, right? He's played 6 majors, he's played major playoffs with the Renegades, and he is doing the janitor work on this team. Is his experience something that you can feel on the server? How do you think? Is he contributing? How do you feel about him as a supportive player? Like as an oper, for example, do you feel a little bit more calm when you're rotating to a bomb site that you know he's anchoring when he needs help? You're like, oh yeah, it's Liazz. He's gonna stay alive. He's gonna be able to set himself up until I arrive.
Actually, that's a good sum up. Actually, he lives a lot. He stays alive a lot. And then I know he's not like if he asks for a smoke or like a Molotov, is because he wants to live longer and survive. He's quiet, but you always know what he is doing on the map.
Mhm.
So you don't need him to talk or like flood the team speak. You just know he's there and it's fine, you know. And if he's not fine, he's asking for help. He's
Okay.
loud when he needs help.
Okay. So if Liazz is speaking, then there's problems.
Yeah, that's problem. Then everyone shut up and just fucking help him.
Okay,
You know.
okay, got it. Now you got the honor, I guess, of playing as a part of officially you're an honorable Aussie, as we pointed out, playing an IEM Melbourne, which ended up being probably one of the better performances that we've seen out of you guys. Now you were able to beat Virtus.pro, you were able to take a map off of Navi. Unfortunately, didn't beat them, but it was still a good event. How did it feel playing in front of the Australian crowd? Did you feel like you were actually receiving the love from all the Australian fans? Like, did you feel like an Aussie there? Was that the reason that you guys you think you did so well as a team?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it felt amazing. Also on my Instagram, like people were writing and they were writing really nice words. I got a lot of love from Australians, and I don't know, it felt amazing. And it was a good event as well. I like the country. That's the point. I like the coffee. I like the weather. I liked everything about Australia. That's why I played so good. I feel like the environment was really nice.
What was different in those matchups? Because that was, and I want to emphasize on that a little bit because now we're gonna get into the major conversation soon enough. But that was probably the closest you guys as a team of looked to the higher level teams, right? Like Virtus.pro, like Navi. So, what do you think that this was just maybe the first glimpse of some work that you guys have been putting in the last months? You feel like this is repetitive?
Yeah, it was really good. It was also after a long bootcamp in Serbia.
Okay.
So yeah, we had the fresh tactics, we had the fresh gameplay, and yeah, I don't know. I think it was only the beginning. I really hope so because
Mm-hmm.
we also had this Chinese tournament and kind of lost to teams that we shouldn't have. But we tried to not get in our minds and not focus on that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, by the way. I'm sorry you want to not focus on that, but I want to ask you a little bit because there is a team that you played the Hero Esports Asia, right? And that was a LAN event in China. The only team you lost to, because you finished third in that event, you lost to Tyloo twice, and then you've lost to Tyloo in Pro League as well, I believe. So what is going on with FlyQuest and Tyloo? What? But there seems to be a bit of a rivalry going on, but you end up falling short every single time.
This specific tournament, I think we lost against Tech Nines 20 times. Like
All right.
legit, I don't know what the fuck happened, but we lost against Pistols so many times. It was annoying at some point. I didn't know what to say. We were just laughing at some point. So I hope we are going to fix this in LA now. We have 4 days of bootcamp, and I think it's going to be good for major.
Okay, next up, this one is focused a little bit more on you. So I did a little bit digging. Turned out, so far this year, you've played 57 maps of Counter-Strike. 49 of them on LAN, by the way, which is a great percentage. Last year, for the entirety of 2024, you had 58 maps. So you're one map away from leveling up your record from last year, and I think it's safe to say you're gonna go well over that number. Uh, do you feel sharper, pretty much, is what I want to ask. Is that the first year in the last couple that you actually feel like you're getting quality time in the server and you get to develop as a player?
Yeah, I get trust. I get to have some fun time with my teammates. Um, yeah, I get respected,
Mm-hmm.
and Yeah, the more lanes I play, the less pressure, and yeah, I'm not so nervous obviously anymore. Studio wise.
You do sound a little bit, well, yeah, obviously you haven't you guys haven't played on
Yeah.
the biggest arenas yet, but if you had to describe yourself as a player from 1 year ago when we had the first interview, and yourself as a player and maybe as a person as well, it depends on what type of answer you want to give now, what would the main differences be?
More mature, I think. Yeah, just mature and I don't know, up. It
Okay.
was all the time on bench when I reflected about myself.
All right. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry, my headset just turned off there for a
Okay,
second,
okay,
but it's all right. I think that the recording got it. That's the important part. And
okay.
finally, we're gonna get into the major. Now, the first thing I want to ask you about that is, how do you feel about the new format? Because obviously the new format is 32 teams. There's a lot of teams that qualify for the major now. From your perspective, does it feel a little bit less prestigious to some extent, or it doesn't really matter because it's still a major?
It doesn't really matter. It's like still major, still a privilege to play, obviously. Still something I dreamt of. So, yeah, it would be sad to not make it to the next stage, to be honest.
All right, and yeah, there will be 3 stages. This is your first major as well, so I guess this is a pretty dope question. But how do you feel about it? Are you excited?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, I'm really happy. It's like really crazy.
Do you think it should be approached like any other event? Because ideally, that's an interesting conversation, I think, for a lot of players. Because you wanna the most important games and events you wanna play like, it's any other event, not put any extra pressure on you. But there is some people that go out and say, hey, you know what? I actually want that extra pressure because that's gonna make me take it even more serious. I want to live in the moment and understand how important it is. Is it like that for you right now, or you just want to take it calm and enjoy?
To be honest, the extra pressure you are talking about, it's always on RMR. If you
Okay.
make it to have the sticker, because this is
Mm,
what orgs and players want, the sticker
sure.
and all that stuff. So once you make it to that point, from now on, it should be just like another event. Obviously, only about the studio stages, right? Because when it's
Sure.
playoff and arena, it's something else. So yeah, I think we should focus game by game.
All right, we will focus game by game. You're starting stage 3. You're starting against Fluxo. How do you feel about that matchup, and how do you feel about the team's chances to make it through? Because I saw that conversation. There is a lot of teams that you would put in the tier 2, I guess, tier 1.5, tier 2 bracket in stage 3 of the major. So, what would you say your goals and feelings going into this one are?
Against Fluxo, I think it should be for the first time. It's an event where we play a decent team as the first game, not VP. Oh, sorry, not Spirit, not like Vitality. It's just a fair game, I would say, to give confidence to ourselves. So if we get past Fluxo, then it should be good.
Okay, and the ultimate question, um, considering you could say FlyQuest, obviously, but one of the bigger conversations that have been going recently has been: can Vitality do it? Can they win 7 events in a row? Can they win the major as well? Or can Falcons do it? Maybe Mouse, maybe someone else. Who do you think is winning the major? And I'm gonna add it as a specific rule right now for people not to call you out. We'll say you can't say FlyQuest. I am forbidding you from. I know you wanted to, but I'm gonna forbid you from. So who's winning the major if it's not FlyQuest?
Vitality.
You think they're gonna take it all the way?
Yeah, yeah, should be.
All right. All right, we're gonna lock in the wildest hot take prediction ever. We're going for the team that's won 6 events in a row. That's gonna be it. Thank you very much for joining. I really enjoyed the conversation. And again, for everyone that wants to check out how Regali ended up being where he is, how he started playing Counter-Strike, you can go and check out the link, which is going to be on the top of the description of this video. That's going to be the first episode that we did, which was 1 year ago, and it was a lot longer and a lot more in-depth about his life as well. Quick shout out to everyone for watching, commenting, especially on the Kickstand interview, which was uploaded, I think, 2 or 3 interviews ago before this one. But yeah, really liked it. Regali, you can close it out, my friend. Just a quick message to everyone that will be supporting you and FlyQuest at the major. Could be to the Romanians, could be to the Aussies, could be to both of them, could be just to let munstur know that he's a noob.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you will support us even if we disappoint at least one game. But I hope everything is going to be good, and yeah, just enjoy the games and enjoy us.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. We'll see you in the next one,
Thank you.
folks. Stay
See
safe.
you.